Welcome to the Marvel Movie Minute live with one of us having dramatic lighting. All I can do is go from regular lighting to slightly darker.
Listen, I'm sorry, I should have done this. Hold on.
Oh, okay. The big reveal.
And I'm right.
Oh, yeah.
Who are
That's
you?
the stuff. Welcome to Marvel Movie Minute Live. My name is Kyle Olson from the Swashbuckling Ladies Debate Society podcast.
Hey, I'm Rob Cabasco. Obviously I'm tinkering with new things.
Sure.
There might be a new I'm trying a new camera. We're trying different stuff. Microphone. I'm testing all this stuff out. There'll be mistakes. I didn't have the what's it called, the loop back set, and you texted me very kindly.
Yes.
And we're like, dude, but where's the music?
Yeah.
And I'm
yeah,
like,
I know.
oh,
It's like I
yeah,
feel like I'm a WWE star backstage. Hit my music.
You're in gorilla position, and you're waiting
Right.
like,
I know. I'm ready.
when am I
Ready.
going to hit?
Come on.
Can you
Start the Chiron. Let's go.
What?
Fire up the Titantron. Let's go.
What's hey, you know what? Listen, it is a beautiful day. There is a lot going on.
Let's see. There's something very important going on specifically today. Rob, happy Father's Day.
Oh, happy Father's Day.
Look at that.
Everybody.
Oh, Howard.
No, let me change that.
Wait.
I don't want him
Yeah.
looking at me. Okay, so
You were a difficult man, Howard, but
no, the other way. You
raised
gotta go
a
the
good
other
son.
way. No, you
I know it.
turn the other way. No, there is.
This way? Oh, this way? Oh, okay. I was looking away from him like, how dare you, Howard? I don't
How
even want
dare
to talk
you.
to you.
Look at that face.
Howard. Yeah.
No matter.
No,
even if
John
he's looking at
Slattery.
me.
Look at that. Oh.
Dude. Like that's
Yeah,
not.
look at, he's
that's
just
actually-
disapproving of you now.
Look
at that disapproving gaze.
Happy Father's Day to you. Happy Father's Day to all fathers, our fathers, everyone
Mm-hmm.
who is a father. And yeah, it's a nice day. We get to kind of chill, do what we want to do.
Yep.
I think I'm getting a donut later, maybe.
Oh, very nice.
I don't know.
Yeah, say we're going out for barbecue this evening. That's our big Father's Day gathering.
That sounds good. Oh, that sounds.
I'm actually wearing one of my. Can you send Howard away?
Get
There you
him
go. I say I'm wearing one of my Father's Day gifts. So yeah.
Oh wait, some records.
See?
Is that? Oh,
Yeah, that's right. Because I have family that lives down in Memphis, so my wife was on a trip down there. She and the girls picked
nice.
out a Sun Records t-shirt for me. Sun Records, of course, is the place that Elvis Presley and Johnny Cash recorded their first songs, and Jerry Lee Lewis and a bunch of other ones too. So still there as sort of a historic site. They have a big gift shop, so that was very cool.
Oh, that's sweet. Oh, cool place. Well, I've never been. Been to Graceland a bunch of times, but never Sun Records. That sounds
Yeah.
good. My brother would
That's
love that.
incredible.
Well, I'm wearing a shirt that my brother procured, crafted by his own
Another father?
design. Yeah, yes, another father. John, happy Father's Day. He's been doing some really cool work with logos and stuff, and this is from our old high school, and it's embroidered.
Oh.
It's really nice. It's very comfortable. It's green.
Always good.
The lighting makes it look. I don't know what to tell you about the lighting.
So you're bathed in green. Well, that's appropriate for what we're going to be talking about at the end of the
Well,
show,
we're
which
gonna be
is
talking about-
the new episode of Loki. But we're not there yet.
No.
Also, before we get started, another little house business. There's been a huge surge in rumblings from the audience, and it's under the hashtag Let Rob Talk.
Oh God.
And so,
No, nobody has said no. Well.
so I'm hearing it. I'm hearing it. It's on the street, Rob. And so, yes, last week was a little. I was a little out of control. I was a little over enthusiastic.
You were passionate.
I was
about
very
things, and
passionate about things, and I just
like-
did again. So
I'm
I'm going to be I'm trying to be very conscious, and basically not interrupt Rob as much to let him have his say as well, because this is not the Kyle Talks About Marvel show. This is Marvel Movie Minutes. It's a collaboration.
I am happy to fan the flames of your passions. Okay, moving on.
Yeah.
So that guy.
But mentioning the Marvel Movie Minute, let's talk about the Marvel Movie Minute. Oh, and there's Arena to get
there
us back
she
on
is!
track. Look at that, Arena's.
Speaking of
Right there to get us back on
dads
track.
or soon to be talking to fathers and
That's
father
right.
issues. There we go.
Yeah, father figures, father. This week was we're in the midst of the exposition dump. There's a lot of information just being sort of put on there, gracefully, artfully. It's up to you to decide that. But it basically comes down to Tony Stark and. I'm trying to think who all was there. So let's see. Tony Stark was there. Nick Fury's there. They're back at Stately Stark Manor. Let's see. Black Widow shows up for a random just sort of walk on one line and she's gone thing. And then of course the most important thing, the first appearance of Agent Phil Coulson in Iron Man 2. So that was pretty cool. So we got to talk a little bit about Clark Gregg and fanboy out on him a little bit because we're both big fans of his stuff. And of course, he's the linchpin, the spine of the whole Phase 1. Like he's like the connective tissue that puts them all together. So yeah,
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree.
Yeah. So we're getting now to when Tony is going to have a time-shifted conversation with his dad. Like we've just got to the point where he's been given this box mystery. I think we called it the escape room in a box.
His escape room of life.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. He's got all this stuff in there that he has to figure out. The riddle of his heart.
Oh God. Because someone's eye will be on him.
That's right.
And that I still think that Samuel Jackson just chews it up with that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great.
I got my eye on you.
So yeah, that took us to minute 70 on the podcast feed. This week, minutes 71 to 75.
That's right.
We're gonna
be talking about obviously. Well, I'll say we'll talk about what we're gonna be talking about at the end, sort of to get people's interested. But let's switch over and talk about what else is going on in the rest of the MCU.
What is happening in
the Marvel Cinematic Universe? All right. Well, first thing is we are so close to Black Widow. Oh man! After so long, after 2 years of waiting, we're finally getting it, and people have seen it. So that makes us even crazier because the actual reviewers have gotten to see Black Widow. So the reviews are leaking out. I've not read any of them, but I've sort of just trying to listen to the gestalt. Like, what is the general feeling? And the feeling so far is that it's really freaking good. Yes. So I have not heard any negative words coming up of like muddied or slow or any of those kind of things you don't want to hear about, and things like that. People are saying that it is really good character dynamics and really good action, and like, great. I'll take either one of those things. I would be happy with, but having both of them in there, makes me very excited.
I love that people have really refrained. I have read all the reviews.
Okay.
And I haven't been worried about spoilers or anything. I'm going to be happy. I think I'm going to enjoy it. And there wasn't anything that has been spoiled. I will say this from everything I've read. But one of the nice things that I like is that there has been a total refrain in dealing with, is there ramifications for the future? Nobody has said anything at all about...
That's interesting.
About anything about post-credit scenes or anything like, well, what happens? Is there a Black Widow moving forward? Any of this? Does anything connect previously or in the future? People have chosen to purposely, I think, not say anything. And that's good, because I will say this, like, I am going into this expecting this is the backstory.
Yeah.
Like, I don't expect to have the same experience that we have now watching a Disney Plus show, in that, well, what does this mean for this, or what does that mean?
Yeah.
I don't have any of those expectations.
I agree. I sort of have a different level of excitement for this than I do for Shang-Chi. It's not less or more, it's different. Correct. Because Shang-Chi is moving the story forward, and this is looking backward.
Right. So... I'm excited. It's going to be.
Yeah. So, and Kevin Feige has also been doing some interviews too, and talking about how if this is successful, that there's no reason they couldn't do more prequel stories, which I think would be great. I mean, this is what Star Wars sort of tried to do and didn't really accomplish, but maybe the MCU is a little more malleable. Right. Or maybe the fandom is a little bit more malleable, that they will like say, okay, we know the stakes, we know what happens, we're okay just seeing a story of a character that we love, knowing that this isn't about an Infinity Stone, it's not about, time manipulation, it's basically just like, what was Hawkeye doing during Civil War, kind of, those kind of like
oh no,
you know what I'm saying, like little missing pieces, or I should say during Winter Soldier, actually that's what I was thinking. There's a famous missing scene of Hawkeye hunting down Captain America that was written but then cut from Civil War or Winter Soldier, one of those, I can't remember now, but those kind of things, like to have these stories that we think about but haven't really been seen, and including David Harbour said he would be absolutely willing to do a Cold War Red Guardian movie, which I was like, okay, that's shot to the top of my wish list now.
Oh, wow.
Yes, please. I haven't even seen Black Widow yet, and I want to see that movie.
When you said, I started laughing when you said, a story that doesn't involve either necessarily a beloved character or Infinity Stones, and I said, well, wait a minute, though. I mean, if you asked most MCU fans, what is that movie? That movie that fills in a gap in the past.
Yeah.
Well, everyone's going to say they want to see Cap return the Infinity Stones.
Oh yes, absolutely.
So I mean, like,
Absolutely.
well, that's there. But like we've talked about this, I think maybe on a previous episode or so. The Ant-Man's Wild Road Trip.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like going from the West
I-
Coast after
right,
the
exactly.
snap, he comes back.
Right. Yeah, I mean,
that's a
I wrote
great movie.
a thing because I realized that there was a missing piece of history. So I'm like, well, somebody needs to write that. So I wrote that thing out. But
Oh,
it
you
was
had that story.
almost-
That's right.
I
That's
did.
right,
I wrote
yes.
this. Yeah, basically like how did Ant-Man get from
Right.
California all the way to New York during a post-snap time. And what
No,
happened? Who do you meet along the way? And all these kind of things. So those kind of things I think are littered throughout there. And there's also huge swaths of MCU timeline that we have no story about.
Oh yeah. Right.
So like I was thinking the other day about the 50s. We know nothing about what happened in the MCU in the 50s. Like there's a whole time period they could do stuff like that. So like post Cap is gone,
right.
but Captain Marvel's not going to show up until 95 or whatever. So like what happened in the midst?
Well, that
you know?
whole period, you're right? No, yeah.
There's almost nothing. We've seen some 70s stuff,
Right.
but in the middle we really don't know. I mean, in comic books there was another Captain America
yeah.
in the 50s. So I mean, like there's obviously there I can do this because it was a big deal about he was the second Captain America. So, but we're not gonna have that. But it's still there's a lot of fertile ground there for them to do other stories about.
No, I think there's I hope I really do, not just because we're fans of the MCU,
Sure.
but and fans of the work. I hope Black Widow is a good movie. Number one. I mean, I don't want to be one of those people that's like, oh, I'm gonna like it no matter what. No, I want it to be good.
Yeah.
And based on that, I hope it does pave the way for other things. We'll see. I'm excited.
So another benefit of the Black Widow movie being out so soon is that they're doing press now. So all of these, so we're hearing from David Harbour, we're hearing from Kevin Feige, and we're hearing from Scarlett Johansson. And so she actually gave a very interesting interview for, let me see what it is. So she was talking to Collider. And so they brought up the fact that like, hey, so Iron Man 2, you were shown a little differently than like they sort of
Yes.
brought up the sexism that is in Iron Man 2, which we have talked about on our show. And so she had a couple of really interesting quotes. So let's see, I'm going to try and read you can read the whole thing over at Collider.com, and I recommend you do because it's really interesting interview.
And it's been picked up by so many other places.
Yes, and so
Everybody's
like
ran with
I've
it.
just pulled a couple of things in here. So she says, let's see. Obviously, 10 years have passed and things have happened. I'm in a much different, more evolved understanding of myself. As a woman, I'm in a different place in my life, and I felt more forgiving of myself as a woman and not, sometimes probably not enough. I'm more accepting of myself, I think. All of that is related to that move away from the kind of hypersexualization of this character. And I mean, you look back at Iron Man 2, and while it was really fun and had a lot of great moments in it, the character is so sexualized, Really talked about like she's a piece of something, like a possession or a thing or whatever, like a piece of A. And Tony even refers to her as something like that at one point. What does he say? And so the interviewer actually says, I want some, but that's actually not the quote. The quote is
that's not the
actually,
quote.
I want one.
Right.
Which I had a huge problem with if you
remember we
listened to
talked
the
about this.
episode.
That's when he's training boxing with Happy.
Yeah.
And she comes in for the first time, and he says that to Pepper,
Yeah.
which is even more inappropriate. And we talked about that. Yes.
Yeah, and so then then goes on, and she responds to that, and he says, yeah, and at one point he calls her a piece of meat, which he actually doesn't.
He doesn't.
He says a lot of terrible things.
Yes, he does.
But I'm saying
Yes.
like that in particular
Yes.
doesn't actually. Maybe that was cut. Who knows?
Right.
And maybe at that time that actually felt like a compliment. You know what I mean? Because my thinking was different. Maybe I even would have, my own self-worth was probably measured against that type of comment. Or like a lot of young women, you come into your own and you understand your own self-worth. It's changing now. Now young girls are getting much more positive message, but it's been incredible to be a part of that shift and be able to come on the other side and be a part of that old story, but also progress, evolve. I think it's pretty cool. Well said.
Well said, indeed.
Yeah, and so once again, like just what we were talking about, yes, absolutely, like acknowledging, yes, full on, Iron Man 2 is sexist. There's some big issues with it, but at the time of her life and the time of the industry and the way things were, what can you do? But at the same time, acknowledging it, accepting that is no longer acceptable, and then moving on and to get to a place where she can open a movie, and it's not about her seducing people or whatever, it's not Red Sparrow. And I'm not disparaging Red Sparrow, but it's like it's not taking Black Widow and having her be a honey trap,
Right.
which very easily could have gone. But they also talked a little bit about why did it take so long, and that is not a Scarlet thing, but this was a more a fan news thing that they put together there. So like basically the reason is because the Marvel Creative Committee that was running Marvel during Phase 1 did not like female heroes and did everything they could to discourage them. That's why as soon as Kevin Feige took over as head of Marvel Studios, suddenly we get Captain Marvel, suddenly we get Black Panther, suddenly we get the Black Widow origin movie. Like these things had to change because you had to get away from frankly, the old white dudes who were in control saying like, nope, Elektra didn't work, Catwoman didn't work, no female heroes. Yeah. Well, here we are on the other side of it, and Captain Marvel made $1 billion, so cheers.
Do you know what I think is really neat is, okay, when we've talked about the movie and listening to us talk about, Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Outside of look at the whole attitude and the way that it was done is, we've discussed this on the podcast. It is icky,
and we will. There's going to be more because there's more coming.
There's more.
Yeah.
We've talked about some of the scenes that have been cut, or maybe if we didn't, like at the party at his place, that were way off the mark and shows a horrible sexist sentiment that that we know existed, right? And it's one thing to say, oh well, it's a different time. No, I think that it is great to go back and look at this and show how quickly things rightfully changed. Because when you look at the Black Widow character in the MCU, I mean, things change immediately on her second appearance in the MCU.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not that. Iron Man 2 is and the only pass, it's not a pass. The only thing that I will say in hindsight when we've been watching this movie and analyzing it is, it does speak tremendously to the character arc of Tony Stark in that, he is slimy and gross. At the beginning, he is, right? Like, I mean, that's the story that they're telling. I was blown away that here we are and Iron Man 2 is in the conversation. Like, I'm glad I'm glad that she brought it up, and I also think that it's great to kind of it brings back this whole story of, God, in 12 years, 13 years that they've been making these movies, the journey that this has been on is even more astounding. So that's cool.
Yeah. So speaking of female heroes, a brand new female hero is getting her own television series. So Sony has announced that Silk is actually going to have her own television series. So for those of you who don't know Silk was she's a relatively new character. The premise was, so we all know the origin of Spider-Man's powers. Like, Spider-Man gets bitten by a radioactive spider and somehow it gave him the spider abilities. Well, it turns out that spider didn't die because someone else who was on that trip went, hey, there's this weird spider on the ground, and it also then bit her. This is something during a whole thing called Original Sin, where they were like looking at characters and like just slightly off of the main Marvel characters, other characters who were sort of around. So this is these came out. But where has she been? Well, the thing is, there's a whole other thing we won't get into because this show can only be so long. But basically, someone was trying to protect her and hid her away. So basically, put her in a vault to make sure that she was safe. And so she has been there the whole time, and then finally like comes out. She's the same age as Peter because she was like in the same class. Yeah, exactly. And so then so she has basically the same essential powers as Spider-Man, except she has organic webbing. That's one of her big things. Like, Spider-Man's still in the and actually, the MCU and in the comic books, it still uses web shooters. Like in the Sam Raimi movies, obviously they were organic, but like that's one of her big things. But basically, that she has like the same essential powers as that. It's great that a Korean American hero is getting their own show. That's great, but it still is a little weird because it's a Sony show. So we're gonna get into that weird thing of where is it set? Like, is it in the Sony Spider-Verse? Is it MCU adjacent? Is it its own thing? Oh boy, like here we go again. Like, we're gonna have to have these conversations about where does it sit. I mean, I just want it to be a great show, but at the same time, she is, not to be dismissive, but she is a derivative of Spider-Man. So is there a Spider-Man, or are they going to do the Venom thing where they're just like, no, he has almost all of Spider-Man's powers, but Spider-Man doesn't.
You know who they're going to have to talk to? They're going to have to talk to the TVA.
That's true. It's true, because there is no multiverse. There is one holy timeline.
Sacred timeline.
That's right.
That's it. No, we'll get into that.
So speaking of strange crossovers, then there's a new ad that has come out from Hyundai starring Marvel characters. Yeah, there it is. And it's a little disconcerting. Like, I understand marketing and I understand that this is how you pay your bills and stuff too.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
Seeing the characters, the actors in costume, in character, sitting in and dealing with Hyundai was a little weird.
Yeah, it's got to be how you feel when you know, like a lot of people I'm sure know at this point now. A lot of A-list celebrities over the years will like get paid tremendous amounts of money to do commercials in Japan, right?
Right.
And when you get to see those commercials with A-list celebrities, you just go, huh?
Yeah.
Right? Right? Like,
It's doing commercials
weird.
for, like, I don't know, lipstick for men.
Yes. Joey, that's anyway.
Yeah, Joey.
So no, so like you see when you see this, it kind of has that feel to it because these are again, if you know and love these characters, that's how it feels. Okay, but I will tell you the one thing, the WandaVision one, Elizabeth Olsen once again when she gets in that character.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it's amazing, and that commercial is neat. It's where she's talking about cars.
Yeah,
and
so
moving up the
let's give a small synopsis.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's only 30-second commercial, so I mean, you can really go find it. But basically, Loki, after he teleports with the Tesseract, gets into a Hyundai. That's where he goes and starts to, and like has a little thing. And they each have a little line that they say about like, sometimes you just want to get away or whatever it is he says. And then next thing you see the car stop and Captain America then vaults over the hood. Like in full, and throws the shield and knocks somebody down and stuff too. And then it cuts to Wanda in black and white with a Studebaker or something.
This is the full. I haven't seen the full.
Oh, you haven't seen the full one? Yeah.
No, I've only seen the little clips.
Yeah, all three together, and it goes from one to the next, and so then she's there, and so she is carrying the car like you see in the picture in her hand, and she does her little Wanda power, and then in full red shows up on her driveway.
Yeah,
and so too, and but it was a little strange. It was like almost a throwback to like the 1950s where
they
would have commercials integrated into the show.
Yes,
and
that's
suddenly,
right.
Samantha on Bewitched would just be like, "This Folgers coffee is delicious."
Yes, right. No, I will look at. I'm not surprised. And what these are is they're kind of. I think the versions I saw were. It's kind of like a hybrid commercial. I guess the best way I would describe it is it's kind of like when when Verizon does an Apple commercial. Because when they moved off from AT&T originally with the iPhone, you didn't just have Apple commercials for the iPhone. You had Verizon has their Apple commercials and AT&T has their commercials, right? And so there is that little like twist. Both of these that I saw, they were like, oh yeah, check out this Hyundai, whatever's the Santa Fe or whatever car it is. And then, oh yeah, and by the way, at the end of the bumper, it's like, and you can watch all episodes of Falcon and the Winter Soldier now on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
Like
corporate synergy.
I mean, sure.
And this is how we get Roxcart.
Yeah.
Right?
I wonder. Well, there'll be
corporations doing together. And then it's interesting. I mean, it's fun. I mean, in terms of like, it's nice to see sort of new footage of Captain America in action. Like the first footage we see of Captain America in action as Captain America is a Hyundai commercial. But they all commit to it. They all they're all basically like they got a job to do and they do their job. I mean, even Tom Hiddleston like is full Loki, like sitting in a Hyundai.
Yeah, I mean.
So technically, I guess you have to watch this commercial in order to have seen all the appearances.
Oh, it's canon? Wait, these are canon?
I think it's canon. I think we're going to say right here. Marvel Movie Minute says this commercial is canon. Will they comment on it in future seasons? We don't know. You'll have to watch to find out. And then the last piece of news I have is that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania has begun production in the UK. I'm really surprised by that. All the previous two have been shot in Atlanta. So this one is being shot in the UK. I'm not sure why. I don't know if I guess change in. I mean, we don't know the story of it too. Maybe more of it's going to take place in sound stages, and they thought, in the UK, like they would have more access to full sound stages as opposed to sort of the back and forth they do it in the Marvel Studios in Atlanta. Right. I don't know, but they're all over there, like getting ready and shooting it now. So
is that confirmed? Both are Michael Douglas and Michelle Pfeiffer confirmed?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, Michael Douglas was actually one of the first people who was like talking about it when he wasn't really supposed to. Like a year ago or so, was like actually talking about the script and things. And they're like, "Who? No."
Yeah, I think because I would think this is Michelle Pfeiffer's this is her first full movie role then.
Yes.
In the MCU, it'll be interesting. Maybe there's a reason they had to go to the UK for something.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll find out as that goes along. But that comes out in February, I believe, of 2022, I think. So yeah, I need to have my calendar here because there's so many Marvel projects. It's
There's
hard
a
to
lot
do.
of stuff. We don't have a. I just want to do a little segue here.
Oh, okay.
Now we've done merch a lot. We don't have merch. There's no new merch today, thank God, because my wallet's not done. But I'm gonna switch. Get this. Check this out. We have a new feature on the show.
Oh,
It's the Bugle Cam.
the Bugle Cam.
Now and this is live.
Oh, look at
here's
that,
my hand,
Rob.
my hand.
Can you put up 3 fingers?
Three.
Oh,
Wait.
Oh,
Three
look at
fingers.
3 fingers. Okay.
Oh, did I
very
just
nice.
do the Inglorious Bastards 3?
I think a
Wait,
little
what do
bit.
I do?
Yeah.
I do the
yeah.
three?
Exactly. 3. There you go.
All right. So clearly nothing
Yeah.
but the highest tech for the Marvel Movie Minute. Let me move this back. So I wanted to do a let me let's see here. Oh, there we go.
Oh,
Now you
okay,
can
there
see
we
the whole
go.
thing. So
right.
this is what I thought we'd do is you can go watch a million videos about the Lego Daily Bugle
Yeah.
on YouTube, right?
But they're not done by busy fathers who have a
Yeah.
lot of things going on.
Thank you. Number 2. Wait, and I think I can actually. Can I? Oh, look! I put myself back in the shot. I put my.
Oh,
there I
there's
am.
you. Look,
I'll put myself in. See, I'm
you're
trying
like
to still learn.
you're
all
like
this.
Aunt May sized.
I'm tiny, just like this. So, all right. So this is it. So if any of you have a Lego set, you know that the Lego bags in big sets come in numbered. This is what you get when you have completed bags number 1. All number 1 bags.
Okay.
So this is kind of neat. Yes, we have Aunt May. There she is. I don't know if the focus will work. No, there she is. She looks
good.
sharp.
Yeah.
Looks good. But this is what I like is I love this whole the base. You can see kind of what's going on here. You've got the front entrance. We've got a little
Checkerboard. I love the checkerboard.
Yeah, we've got a little fire hydrant right there.
Very nice.
We can see our little place here where I think the newsstand is going to go, which is kind of cool.
That'll be in
We
bag
have
2.
a
Ooh, I
nice-
see a rat.
Oh, and that right here on this rat is
Yeah.
that is the rat that saved the universe. I don't know.
That's
if you
the
noticed.
endgame rat.
That is the endgame rat. There he is, right there. Notice the cool sticker. I'm gonna learn this. Sticker for the New York sewer system.
okay.
Right. If you're wondering why are there little holes here on these 2 areas, this because this is designed to work with the other modular buildings in the Lego creator expert series.
Okay.
So you got that. On the other side, we've got other boxes.
Looks like there's gonna be a back door.
There's going to be a back door. There's a fake elevator. That's what this.
Okay.
That's what this area is. But I have to say, I was surprised. One, I just love the amount of detail already just in the foundation in the first plate, and I love the concept of that. You can see this as it's being built. We will do this each week, phase by phase.
And if you don't get to do any, then you'll be really embarrassed. So that'll also be fun for the audience.
Let me come back. Well, there's that. That's really funny. That was good. What do we got? I think. Do I have?
I believe it's that
You know what
time.
time it's for.
Your lighting is appropriate because it's time for low-key conversation.
Low-key conversations with Kyle and Rob. Dude, I texted you. This is
Yeah.
real.
Yeah.
I said after Wednesday morning, watching episode 2 of Loki, that may have been my favorite all-time episode of the M plus U, which I meant the Marvel Disney Plus universe, the serial episodes. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Yeah, I would have a hard time coming up with a single episode that we've seen so far that was as good. I mean, I love WandaVision, but like this, boy, just hit me where I live. Like I was so enthralled, and I've watched it twice, and both times I was just like, tell me everything.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I love the conversations. Okay, I love the conversations about, you could say the existentialism, the free will versus predetermined, right? And this is a conversation that every person, whatever your beliefs are, have grappled with this, right? So like you're dealing with like, okay, what's my role in the world universe, and what am I doing, and what's happening, and you've got I mean. Wonderful character development there. You get theories about what Owen Wilson Mobius's character is about and where he's going. The ending you can't So what happened is spoilers, obviously.
Yeah.
You
Well, sure. If you
you're
haven't
not
watched
listening to
episode
this, watching this if you haven't already watched it.
Yeah.
So what? I mean, you can watch all the videos from Screen Crush and New Rock
Lot,
Stars
yeah, people have done a lot of digging into the Easter eggs and stuff too, and
through all the
God bless
things
them.
that are happening. She is whoever this female character is. She is time bombing the sacred timeline to cause chaos, bring about the multiverse. I don't know. What do you do in the second and third act of this?
Right?
Like,
I know.
what a
In
first
episode
act.
two, the villain enacts their master plan, or like at least the first phase of their master plan, and gets away with it.
Yes.
Like she pulls it off. Like Loki doesn't stop her. Mobius doesn't stop her. Like she full on commits this crime. And that hopefully, well, I'm sure it's if she is a Loki, and that's still in question.
That's still a question. Right.
It's I'm sure it's the first part of a multi-part plan that's going to eventually get her goals. But what I love about this is that it's smart people writing smart people, but every character in here is also really smart.
Yes.
And so every time you think you sort of know where it's going, a character will say, "Oh, I think I know where this is going," and you go, "Oh, right, they're paying attention too." Like when Loki's doing his whole speech in the tent and trying to this is important, and like you go out there and you're gonna die, and then Mobius is like, "Oh yeah, you're full of crap." Like
Yeah.
he figures it out right away, and you're like, oh, like because even as we were watching it, I watched it with my family the second time, and my wife was saying like, why would you ever listen to him about this? Why would you ever listen to Loki when he's doing this stuff? And then like the next minute, Mobius like, oh yeah, I'm not gonna listen to this. Like, I know exactly what you're doing. And then even when they come back and they're going to get the elevator, and he's saying, like, there's two possibilities. One, like, basically, I'm taking pity on you. And two, I'm manipulating you to get what I want. You can decide what you want. I was like, oh. It's not meta, but it's so aware that it keeps you on the edge of your
the
toes.
difference.
Yeah.
No, the big thing, like, okay, think of the difference between this and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. The character of Zemo and the unawareness of who's doing what to who and when and why. No, none of that exists in this.
Yeah.
Everybody knows if Loki gets the chance, he's going to screw you over. He is trying to get 3 steps ahead of you. Mobius is trying to act that many steps ahead of him. And then, of course, the joke is that, the moment he gets to actually escape, he does.
Yeah.
Now what
And
happens?
exactly, and then the female Loki is just ahead of all of them, like because you think you know what she's doing, and even Loki doesn't know what she's doing. But the two of them coming face to face was fascinating too, because even Loki was sort of confused, which we don't see from Loki a lot. Like he doesn't quite get what's going on, because it was clear to me that he did not recognize her.
Oh, yeah, no. He was confounded.
We've seen in his file that he is gender fluid, so we've seen Loki has been a woman in some version of the MCU or in those last 900 years. Like it's part of mythology, it's part of the comic book thing, but we've never actually seen it in the MCU. So that is it. But he didn't recognize himself as a woman when he saw her. So that was interesting. And he also didn't recognize her as being someone else.
And
Interesting clues.
Well, and I know that everybody's gone into and I will.
Like I said, we can talk about the wild speculation because
the
do you want to talk about where Lady Loki comes from, or do you want to talk about?
Oh yeah, so what's the general? Is Lady Loki just another a multiverse Loki, or what is the what's the comic version of that?
So the comic version of this is actually from J. Michael Straczynski, creator of Babylon 5 and Sense8, and rewrote The Changeling, starring Angelina Jolie. One of my favorite writers. When he was writing Thor, he basically inherited Thor after Ragnarok. So Ragnarok had happened, everybody was wiped out. So when he got the Asgard as a concept, he got to sort of reboot it. And so that's where it came to Oklahoma. That's why Thor, the movie, is set in Oklahoma, is because J. Michael Straczynski set it in Oklahoma. And all the gods were coming back one by one. But when they came back into different bodies, and they didn't know who they were. So Thor had this whole quest where he had to go find them and reawaken the Asgardian within them and sort of bring them back. Well, when he found Loki was a woman. Well, it turned out that Loki being Loki, when everyone's coming back, he's like, hey, they made a brand new body for Sif. I think I'm going to take it. And he just slid in and basically just body jacked it and took Sif's body, and so he was wandering around, and the body was intended for her for a while, just being Loki, but also as a woman. So that's sort of where that, if you ever see the artwork of it was a dark haired woman, that's why, is because he had body jacked the body that was supposed to be Sif. So we've seen Sif obviously in Thor and Thor: The Dark World, and then she actually is still missing in action. So that's interesting. I don't think she'll have any part to play in this, but it's one of those dangling things that's out there. Like Sif is still out there in the MCU somewhere. But yeah, so that's where she comes from. So she is 100% Loki, but just as a woman. But this doesn't seem to be that. Obviously, that storyline is not being done. But she, first of all, this one is blonde, and has, even wearing the horns, has sort of different abilities.
Right. Because
we've never seen Loki do that, take over somebody's body, their mind, and puppeteer them before.
Which, by the way, amazing that that is literally the exact effect from Age of Ultron and Scarlet Witch, who was, what I mean, like the exact same.
Oh,
effect.
Interesting.
Oh no, I mean they did everything. The color is different, but like there's people who've done the analysis. Yeah. The effect on the temple, the eyes, it's exactly what happened to Tony Stark when she does it to him in the bowels of Hydra.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the exact same effect. So what is going on? And the horns, it's interesting. The one horn was broken off of her headband. Okay, so we talk about the thing that people have claimed to have found is that in the credits of the show, her character is listed as it's Sylvie.
Oh, is it?
Yes. So in the Spanish credits of the show, her character's name is Sylvia, which leads into Enchantress. Is that the
so
Marvel's version of that Marvel character?
Right. That's a possibility. Is that this is like we've been leading down this path since the beginning, of that this is an alternate Loki. But what if it isn't? What if this is actually a totally different character who is, because she got very offended when she was referred to as Loki.
Well, people are buying into that. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe this is actually the Enchantress, who is another longtime MCU villain who's not shown up in any of the incarnations.
And what would that tell you? Now, I know nothing about the Enchantress. I don't know anything about the Marvel version.
Yeah.
Because I know about the other one from that movie, which we won't get into. But what is that? Like, why would they bring? What would that character have to do? Do you think with long-term stuff? Like,
that's a good question. That's why I'm wondering sort of what is her agenda. What is she trying to do? Because Loki said, "Hey, look, I'm working my own angle. I'm gonna try to take over the TVA and be Lord of Time, or whatever." And she's like, "Yeah, no, not interested.
It's not about you. It's not about you.
Right? Exactly. Not about you." Which is interesting. In a show called Loki, that she says it's not about you.
So what is
okay? So what is her angle? What is she trying to do? Like, is she trying to topple the thing? Is she trying to rewrite time? Like, is something happened, and so she's trying to go back and change something in her own history, but she can't because the TVA keeps stopping her. So she's like, well, then I guess the TVA's got to go.
Okay, now this is not, and this is unclear, but I took it as when I watched it is that okay, she stole two things, groups of two things.
Yes.
She stole the little time reset lanterns
or
whatever,
which we got to see what happens when those go off too.
Well, I do have a theory on that. Okay. But she stole she stole the lanterns and she stole the portal device.
Yes.
So the portal thing that allows
time
you
doors.
to travel, right?
Yeah.
My assumption is that by putting those by throwing those into various parts of time and space and activating them.
Yes.
It's basically it's not resetting the time. They don't reset. What they do is they wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
Well, by wiping the slate clean, you've created a branch universe.
Yes.
And if she creates too many of the branch universes, they all redline multiverse.
Right.
Is that
well, I think I don't know if we're quite to that point yet, but essentially that's what would happen. But I think her main thing is cause chaos. So that because now they have to go to all of those timelines now, so the TVA is basically going to be empty. All the agents have to run out and deal with all of these things, and so now basically like it opens up. If she wants to do an assault on the TVA, now'd be a good time.
Oh, interesting. So it's a diversion. It's a diversion tactic. So
could be. I mean, it could be. It seems like there's a lot going on because it worked. Whatever she wanted to do worked. So this is causing all sorts of chaos. And now, what does she do to exploit the chaos?
Well, and it is interesting, and please check out, like, go and watch again, New Rockstar. Yeah, New Rockstar, heavy spoilers, or
Yeah, Nerdist has a good one.
Yeah, because oh yeah, I mean, like, there's four of them I think that are doing a great job on this. When you go through all the different places and dates and locations that are coming up on the screens, a lot of them coincide with known MCU locations. Some of them, like one in particular, is New York City in 1947. The theory is that deals with Captain America returning, the original, our Steve Rogers returning to spend life with Peggy, and then that maybe connects to the Peggy that you maybe see in the distance of one of the scenes.
It could be. Also, Sakaar is on that list.
Oh yeah, Hala's on there.
Yeah.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Like all these places, and then I thought it was interesting. There's also there's three different sets of groupings in these. There's ones that are known in the MCU. There are actual historical moments that are known.
Yeah.
Like the one, I believe, is pointed to, it's Rome, Italy, and it's pointed to like one of the middle great schism in the church. Like, so that's a real thing. Like, yeah, that would have hugely changed the development of Western civilization, right? So like, there's that. And then there's ones that like apparently nobody can figure out what their meaning is. Like they have the locations don't mean anything, the times don't mean anything. They're just like, okay, I guess we're gonna find out. Like, there's two places in Tennessee, I think, that like people are just like, we don't know what's going on. We have no idea like what these mean. What do you? I don't even understand what this third episode is going to be like.
I don't either. I mean, we've obviously seen clips of in the major trailer that came out of timelines we have not seen yet, like vote Loki. Like basically, there's a whole thing where Loki was running for president, so they're doing an homage to that. You've seen with the campaign button on. He's got the horns again, and then his allies turn on him at the last minute. So maybe that's where he's reunited with the TVA. I don't know. There's that he's sitting on a purple tinged sky. He's sitting with someone who it makes you think it's Black Widow, but I don't think it's actually going to be. Maybe it's going to be Lady Loki / Enchantress / whoever this new person is, Sylvia.
Because there's just
Randy. I guess we'll call her Randy for now because that's the name she chose.
The real outrageous theories about I mean, because what's the Volmir? Like that's in the list.
Right.
So does he have a conversation with like one of the souls that is sacrificed? Like I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it could be. I will say I think I've told you this. My theory on this is my theory on the reset charges is that we saw it. I don't think the people are destroyed. I don't think they're erased. I think that they are assumed into the collective of the TVA, and that's where they get all their employees from.
Oh,
that is my theory on that. And my theory about Mobius and Mobius is the reason why he loves the 90s so much, because whether it's the drink or his fascination with jet skis, he's talked about this now multiple times, because he is somebody from the 90s that was erased from an event. And I think that's where he's from. Like, I think that's what you're going to find is that's where all these people, because where are all these people coming from? Like, I mean, you know what I mean?
They were, in the comics, they're clones. But maybe you're right. Maybe this is how they get people. They take them from splintered timelines and wipe their memories, and then they become members of the TVA.
And I mean, almost like the TVA has been perpetrating their own snap by erasing these people from. Yeah,
and so that would be. I go along with that because that would explain the Infinity Stones, because that was the thing. So. If you take something from the timeline and then you erase the timeline that they came from, then it makes it inert. So like you've kind of like stripped radioactivity off of a radioactive element. Well, now it's just a lump of rock. So same thing. Like why are those Infinity Stones all there? Because outside of the timeline that no longer exists, they literally are just paperweights.
Yeah, no, they mean nothing. They have they're matter. That's it.
Yeah. Question is, if Loki took the Tesseract with him back to one of the timelines, would it work again? I don't know. That's kind of what it makes me. I would think no, because they just have them there. But if he somehow used a time door to go back to before he took it, would it work again?
Huh.
I don't know.
Okay. Yeah. No. Oh, there's some. Okay. Yeah.
I know this is where my wife would go crazy. This wobbly timey wimey stuff.
It's totally no, it is, and it is.
But yeah, I don't know.
Exciting.
This is what makes a show like this exciting. Is what is episode 3? I have no idea, and I can't wait until Wednesday to find out.
Oh, I will say, like, all the expectations that I had for the show, they're gone. Like, in fact, I don't think I've ever had a show yet like this where all the scenes you mentioned, like some of the scenes you mentioned that we've seen in the trailers,
Yeah.
I have no idea how they fit in.
No, me neither.
No clue whatsoever.
And I have no idea how it ends. I mean, like,
no idea.
Falcon Winter Soldier,
Well,
yeah, I kind of figured out how that. I mean, the same thing with WandaVision. I was like, yeah, I have a pretty good idea how this is going to end.
I know how it ends. But
Oh, you do? Okay. All right.
you know how it
Big
ends? Mobius is on a jet ski. with a Josta. He's got a cooler full of Josta. And Loki and him are out, man, on like 2 jet skis just going.
Well, that. I mean, that gets into interesting stuff too about the other agent, because like when he's in talking to the judge, they have a whole conversation about that too. Like they made a big deal of the ring on the table.
Right.
Well, who put the ring? And like that just seems like so innocuous, but they make such a point of it.
No.
And then he talks about like, oh, you have some of my trophies. Oh, I don't recognize that one. Like that kind of thing. So, is there another Mobius who is also an agent that's working with her?
And that gets into your clone. That's cloning,
right. That gets into the cloning thing, or another from another timeline. She just makes sure that they never meet.
I don't know.
But there's something else going on there that is unusual. I don't know where that's going, because we also now learned that this judge used to be an agent.
Oh yes,
Ravana, is that her name?
Stick.
I think that's her name.
Yeah.
Because when stuff goes crazy, she runs over and you see her helmet and her time wand. I don't know. Once again, I don't know that we have official names.
Stick.
Retcon stick, sure.
Yeah.
They're there. That basically, she used to be a Minuteman, which I think is what they're
That's the
known
term.
as.
Right.
Yeah, and then now she has been elevated to judge. So like, she actually worked her way up. So there is promotion. It's not just you're just in the position that you're in forever. There is actually movement in there, which is interesting. But I don't know there's you never know if is this just like details they add to the world, just the little crunchy bits to make it more exciting, or is it actually leading to a plot point? Who knows?
It is weird to be in this moment as we talk, and this brings it all full circle, talking about Black Widow.
Yeah.
Which again, I'm glad that there is no discussion about what the placement of Black Widow in right now. We're all into Phase 4 now, right? We're into Phase 4. I could never have believed they would have already laid out this type of detailed trajectory of plot, and we don't have a movie yet.
Yeah.
We don't even have a single movie yet in this phase, and I'm like, I'm really hoping that as we get to the end of Loki in 3 weeks, I hope they make a what if announcement.
Me too.
I hope
because merch is starting to leak.
I hope what if comes out 2 weeks after the final episode of Loki. Let's just say that right now. Get it ready.
That would make sense. I mean, that would be if they want to have MCU content, or at least adjacent content,
right,
on a regular basis, that would fill the gap between Black Widow and Shang-Chi.
Yes.
No, so like that, if they read it, whatever it is, 6, I don't even know how many episodes it is. 6, 8, 12?
Oh, what if did nobody? Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, because I mean, we're already like they've already leaked out. Say we can talk about that in a future episode too, like what we know, because like at this point we know about like 4 different episodes.
Right.
Because it's like getting closer, and the stuff is leaking, so like they need to do something about it, or else we're gonna learn everything by Lego sets and T-shirts.
And Funko Pop heads.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Funko. Yeah, Lego and Funko. That's the best way to find out who's going to be in stuff.
Sweet. Good stuff. Can't wait to see the next episode.
Yeah, exactly. So Loki's and it has changed Disney Plus releases too. It's done so well that all Disney Plus new releases will be Wednesdays now.
Yeah.
So that's Wednesdays are the new Fridays. So Loki has changed Disney Plus.
As everyone gets back to their places of work, and now they squeeze out those 2 additional days of conversation.
That's right.
And everything, it all makes sense. All right, way to go.
So that pretty much wraps up the show here. So Marvel Movie Minute, as the podcast is still continuing on. Next week we're going to get into Tony having his heart-to-heart with his dad, even though it's only a one-sided conversation. But if we know anything about Howard Stark, that's how most of the conversations probably went anyways. We're going to talk about Walt Disney. We're going to talk about, fatherly issues, because how appropriate Father's Day is. We're talking about stuff too. We're going to have a lot of fun. So if you have not subscribed, why not jump in now? We're having a good time, and you can keep up and join in the conversation. So you know where to find us. You know all the social media stuff. Do all the things. Subscribe, like, you know how it goes. And we'll be back here next week with another Marvel Minute Live, another episode of Loki, and more Marvel news. So make sure you tune in. Enough said.
Bye.